everybody, welcome to Camel City Chat, and I am here with my friend. I think we're friends now. I mean, we've seen each other enough now. Loren Hill. Loren is with the Carolina Corps, NC Carolina Corps, and you can find him online at nccarolinacorps.com. See, I'm loving this. I can do that. There's more in the Corps. What the heck is the Corps? We're going to find out about that, but first let's find out about you.
Sure.
So, Loren, where are you from, and how long have you been in the Triad?
I'm a native of High Point.
Okay.
I always say I had one foot in Jamestown, which is next door to High Point, and in High Point. Grew up, went to high school there, have moved back after living other places and coming back many years now, but some people join the military to see the world. I joined Marriott.
And we talked about that. Now, if I give you my ID, my Marriott number, that you can get me some points or no?
I'm not sure I could, but
Okay.
I might get you in trouble if you give me your point number. But
Yeah.
that's all I'll guarantee.
You know, guarantee, yeah. They'll be calling, Mr. McPherson, you can't stay at our hotel ever again. What'd I do? But so, yeah, no, I say this because Stabler's getting ready to go there. You went to Carolina,
I went to Carolina.
right? And what was your degree in?
Political science, which
Okay.
never got me maybe it did get me some jobs.
But it gets you to where you are now.
I was a lobbyist. Everything got me to where I am now.
Right.
What a great background for economic
'Cause you were a
development to do all
realtor too,
kinds
right?
of things. I was not a realtor, but I was the government affairs director for both the High Point Realtors Associations and the Greensboro Realtors Associations.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, and then also the two Builders Associations
All
and
right.
the Piedmont Triad Apartment Association. So I was all 5 real estate groups in Guilford County
Right.
at one point.
Wow.
And that was a great experience. So I worked closely with the realtors
Okay,
for those
right.
7 years.
All right, so you did government affairs. We probably ought to talk about that a little bit too. All right, I know you're married. Do you have any kids?
By blood, no, but
Okay.
in actuality, yes.
Okay,
We took in a 16-year-old exchange student
right,
from the Republic of Georgia.
right,
He's 41 now.
okay.
He
And he calls you dad, doesn't he?
I mean, he's American. He's an American dad.
Right,
He's got a great family back in his original country.
right.
And so he's ours.
Right.
We talked to him. We're going to talk to him tonight.
Okay.
In fact, he lives in Massachusetts now.
Okay.
So he got his U.S. citizenship and all those kinds of
That's
things.
got to be an awesome moment.
Yeah, it was. He didn't get it till a couple of years ago. So
Okay.
it was great fun going to Boston for him to be sworn in as a U.S. citizen.
I'll tell you, I don't know if I could pass that test. That test is hard.
Lots of Americans
Yeah,
may not
it
be
is
able
hard. But you know, there's several realtor friends of mine that have gotten their citizenship, and it's just been so cool. You know, I mean, we got lucky we were born into it, but to fight for it and to get it is awesome.
And we learned so much from Lasha, of course, seeing our country from his eyes, a country that had just been part of the Soviet Union, and some of his earliest memories are the Russian statues coming down when his
Right.
country got independent, and then him seeing what it was like here to go from a third world country to the United States.
Right.
And so he went to Guilford College
Right.
and was a teacher in High Point and Jamestown for a while, and then moved on up to Massachusetts.
That's awesome. So when you and your wife then go out for dinner, what's your favorite place to eat?
Moselle's in Winston-Salem.
Oh, you like? Are we talking about the tomato?
The tomato
Tomato
pie
pie,
is my
right.
favorite.
Right.
We sit outside. If it's January and the snow is falling, we're outside. Or if it's summertime, we got the fans cranked up, so they can
You know,
accommodate
she
you
was a
outside.
realtor too.
I did not know that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if she still is, but she was a realtor when she started that. So
And my very next favorite restaurant is 98 Asian Bistro in High Point.
okay,
If you've not been there, you got to go. Add it to your list.
I will.
It's in
Now-
a former Chevrolet dealership, and so the building's been wonderfully restored into retail spots and a gym and all kinds of different things. And that restaurant is special to us. We've had lots of family and business events there, and it's beautifully decorated, great food, great service.
All right, I'll check that one out. We recently went to the Indian restaurant over near the Wendover and that whatever that play area is. There's one there, but whenever I'm in Jamestown, I really like the Thai restaurant there.
Yes.
So good stuff. What do you and your wife like to do when you're not promoting the Corps like you do 999 times out of 100?
Well, separately, she's a potter.
Okay.
And goes to pottery at Congdon Yards in downtown High Point.
Okay.
And she, until it opened, was going to downtown Greensboro to their studios for many, many years. But now she goes a little bit closer to home and loves being a potter. She's retired.
Okay.
And then together we like to travel and eat. She's used to be the department head for culinary arts and hospitality at Guilford Technical Community College.
Okay.
So she knows food up and down and left and right. And so I've, over the course of our marriage, she's taught me all kinds of good things about food and
I need to come hang out with
appreciating
her.
things.
That's
She's
awesome.
also a gourmet cook. She's not a chef, but she's
Okay.
a gourmet cook. So when she used to work, she'd work long, long hours. She'd come home exhausted.
Right.
The way to relax was to make a homemade meal from scratch. So we never had a pot pie in the house. We never had anything like that. So I've eaten very well the whole time we've been married.
So now, Loren, we're filming this later than we normally do. I mean, we're going to finish up here around
You're not
5:30.
invited to dinner tonight
Okay.
because I learned long ago not to surprise her. I've done it one time.
I've tried.
One time I
Right.
called her and said, I'm bringing Brent Christensen, who at the time was the brand new president of the Greensboro Chamber of Commerce, had just gotten here. And I told
You
her,
learned.
he's in the car and we're coming. She was gracious,
Mm-hmm.
but she was pleased that that was the only time I've ever done it.
Okay. All right. Well, darn it. So obviously you're.
But so you didn't know handle that right. You could still get invited.
Yeah. Well,
It's not that far to drive over to High Point,
yeah,
so
well,
you could still be on the invitation
I was going to
list.
drop it and then maybe bring it up later when there wasn't, we weren't on camera. Say, hey, well, when can we come visit? So let's go back. All right. You're graduating from Carolina. What do you do?
Figure out what to do with a political science
Right.
job.
So you didn't start then with Marriott, did you?
No.
Right away?
No, I did lots of different things.
Right.
Worked for the U.S. Census in the 1980 census and things like that. Then helped run a congressional campaign.
Okay.
We got elected and went to Washington, D.C., worked on Capitol Hill for a year and a half or so,
Okay.
and then switched to Marriott.
Okay. So you did Marriott, then you came back. And so I never did the hotel part, but I did work a little bit in D.C., and you served as a town council member for Jamestown. I did for Louisville.
Yes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Jamestown. I was going to the meetings anyway.
Right.
As the government affairs director for the Realtors Associations.
Right.
I was in the audience, and so when they had a vacancy, I lived in Jamestown. They said, someone's resigning. Could we appoint you to that seat? You already know the business better than any other citizen. And so I went from sitting out in the audience to sitting around the table.
Yep. Elected officials like it when people care, and when you're out in the audience caring, that's awesome. So obviously you got in, and then you had to run for election 1 or 2 times, or just one?
I was appointed to one partial term and then
Okay.
just ran for one term, then chose not to run for re-election.
You chose not to run for re-election, just got to be. I completely understand that.
I'd had
That's what I will
enough.
say,
I
yeah.
was glad to dabble in it,
Yeah.
but people who like to be in office for years and years and years, that doesn't compute with the way I look at the world.
Well, and the other is, can you imagine if you ran now with social media? That's all I'm going to say. I was glad that I was done in 99. I ran in 95 and lost. I got elected in 97 to 99 and 99 to 2001.
What were the biggest issues?
Bringing.
What did you get called about at home?
We did an annexation of an area up near Pofftown called Vienna, and someone called and said, I hope you all end up 6 feet under, so that required the deputy to come out to my house. Then we went to vote in allotting some land for a ABC store. And so that was one.
That's big controversial stuff compared
I
to
know.
Jamestown in my time.
Yeah, what was yours?
People would call and say, dogs are barking at 10 o'clock at night. I'm awake, so you need to be. Or my garbage
didn't
can
get
was
picked
not
up.
picked up
Yep.
at 8 o'clock. It's now 9:15. What are you going to do about it? That was the worst in my whole 3.5 years on council. Now, just before I'd been on council, Jamestown owns a golf course.
Right.
And they had raised the green fees, I forget now, $1, $2. And, 200 people showed up at public hearings screaming and yelling, but
Right.
I missed all that.
Well, that's good. I used to do a show called Real Estate Radio on WSGS, and the mayor was on, and someone called in about their trash not getting picked up, and he's flicking there on the thing. A few minutes later, they came in and said, "Oh, by the way, Mayor, she just called back her trash was picked up." So that was awesome. That was a good win for the mayor that day. But so you're a Renaissance man. You're the master of all these different things that come to now. You get into lobbying and what was
We were careful to call it government affairs.
government affairs. So
Because
now
you have to do different kinds of
right.
certifications,
We had lobbyists
and you
on
have
last
lobbyists.
week.
Yeah, you have.
Right.
So I wasn't allowed to ever call myself that, even in passing.
All right,
I was
so
the government affairs director.
In government affairs, what were some of the issues that you found challenging or interesting? Were you there during the Stop the Home Tax? You were probably.
No.
Okay.
But user fees were a big deal back in my time,
They still are.
and all the time, all different of our governments were trying to impose them or considering them.
Right.
And, that was a big deal back in those days.
All right.
So I was the government affairs director in the 1990s.
Okay. So government affairs, and then now you get into this economic development thing.
Well, first,
All right.
the Greensboro Chamber gave me a call
Okay.
and said, "You're doing government affairs under independent contracts with the realtors and builders. Come do government affairs for us."
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that. I was vice president of public affairs and communications for the Greensboro Chamber for about 3 years.
You're like Jake Cashin was for Winston-Salem, who's now he does the same job at the state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. What were challenges with that? Making sure that the bats were now the grasshoppers?
Oh, that was way before. I don't believe it was even the team at that point,
Right.
back in that time. But I enjoyed that very much. And then I got a phone call just as before. I didn't apply for the job, but the city of High Point came to me and said, "We'd like you to come apply for our economic development president job."
And now we get to kind of what most of the show is going to be about. And so I'll start off with this question. Why do we need economic development? Why does a municipality need economic development?
Companies don't know where to go, where to turn, what to do, how to navigate bureaucracies, figure out what's going on. If they get the right realtor, they may find out some buildings and sites that are available.
Right.
But it's the economic developer's job to help the local companies with whatever they need on a day-to-day basis to succeed. How to navigate the bureaucracy, how to handle this or that, or where do I go to get workforce training for my employees. And then that's the better part of economic developer, helping local companies
Right.
and helping them when they're ready to expand.
Right.
But then the sexy part, or the part that draws the news, is recruiting companies that aren't
Right.
here to come to your area. So a company by itself won't know. It's going to be hard for them to find you. You
Right.
need economic developers to promote their own sites and buildings and communities. And you need someone working on that to help be the liaison from those folks to the various governments. Whether they need incentives or not, that gets all the headlines, companies needing incentives, but not very much of a percentage of the clients I dealt with
Right.
were incentive projects.
And so when you were at High Point, we were 3 islands, weren't we? I mean,
Yes.
really, you didn't have any. I mean, you might have conversations with Greensboro and Winston, but it wasn't like a concerted effort at that point.
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no.
Right.
So it varied a lot. We always said we were working together and trying to make things happen. Sometimes our elected officials might torpedo what we were trying to do as economic developers
Right.
because they saw, the border is the border. I'm only concerned with what's inside this border. Companies don't care where a boundary is that they don't see.
Yeah.
It's on a map. It's not in reality. And so we had examples of working well together several times, Winston and Greensboro and High Point, even more Greensboro High Point, since most of High Point is in the same county as Greensboro. But it got better towards the end of my 20 years as High Point's economic developer.
Okay. All right. So, I know it's not the news we wanted recently. We're now number 2. But as I told my friend who is an ED in Virginia, even the blind, Sal's going to find whatever that quote was. I got it right when I told him. So we'll be back next year. I'm not worried about that.
And we were only
3
3 points,
Yeah.
something.
From beating him.
Yes.
So Virginia was number 2 when we were number 1.
I do not recall.
Okay. I think they were. So But the last 3
It didn't matter
years,
to me.
Right, yeah,
we
that's
were
true.
number one,
The
so
last
I didn't care
3 years,
2, 3, 4, 5. Who
yeah,
cares?
right. The last 3 years, as what is it that Ricky Bobby says? First lose. But no, the last 3 years we have been either number one or number two now in the United States of America as the best place for a business to come and do business.
Yes.
How the heck do they figure that out?
All kinds of criteria that I can't figure and
Matrices?
follow. Beats the heck out of me. I see all we're looking at A, B, C, and D, and it's all important. And sometimes the criteria change. That's what's happened this time.
Right.
They gave more weight to things than they had in the past. So perhaps, I don't know this, but perhaps if they hadn't re-weighted some of the items, we might have still been number
Right.
one. I don't know that. But,
Okay.
so anyway, it's all good, but you still need to prove yourself whether you're ranked number one or number two. Having a high ranking opens the door. You can brag about it. You've still got to prove to the client that you're worthwhile, that you've got the assets, that you're telling them the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are lots of folks that like to exaggerate, and a good economic developer will not do that at all. You can't afford to do that.
No, because you
It's
can
the
burn somebody
clients-
once,
Yes.
but then they're out there
That's
talking
right.
trash.
You want those
Yeah.
site selectors to think, if I bring them to Loren, back in my High Point days, he's going to let me know, no, we don't have what you're looking for. No, this won't work. We may be deficient in this area. We're working to build in these areas. Those kinds of things. They've got to know they can trust you. And so that's what you're doing with the site selectors. And sometimes it's just directly with companies. But many of the projects hire a site selection firm to help them find the place to expand or the place for a new facility.
All right. I want to stay in state and municipal for our next conversation before we get to. So when we come back, I've got a business that I want to bring to town, and you, as your old High Point days, tell me. Let's talk about that, okay?
Okay.
All right. We're going to be right back with more Camel City Chat and our guest, Loren Hill. Welcome back to Camel City Chat. I'm John McPherson. I'm here with Loren Hill. Loren is the man when it comes to the Carolina Core, and we're going to learn more about that. But I want to talk about, and I say the man because every meeting I go to, you are there talking. It's realtors. I'm surprised you haven't been at my HOA meeting. But you know,
Have you invited me?
I'm not on. I don't go to the HOA meetings, so there you go.
I'm the brand ambassador for the Carolina Core.
Right.
So if there's a place for me to spread the word, civic clubs, real estate groups, all kinds of meetings. I'm giving speeches. I'm promoting the brand. I'm explaining what this is all about. So I'm ready for your HOA.
Brand ambassador. Now, I did this in high school, so it's not an insult. You're the mascot. I mean, you literally are. You are there cheering everybody along, and you do an awesome job. And I was so excited that you're who I got to interview because, you know, we already have a rapport, and I just know how much you love this. So before we get to this, we're teasing them a little bit more. If I want to bring Deer Park water or to High Point, I mean, North Carolina has assets that are there, right? Governmental, statewide, and then the municipality has it. County
Assets,
does.
you mean incentives?
Just incentives, or I mean, like, am I going to contact North Carolina first? Am I going to contact High Point? Am I going to contact Guilford or Forsyth County? I mean, how does this all happen?
All kinds of different ways.
Okay.
We get leads from all kinds of places.
Okay.
If you're a good economic developer, you're meeting with your existing industries on a regular basis.
Right.
And as part of those conversations, what can I do to help you? What's going on with the city? Are you having any problems with is your water sometimes dirty and you don't know why that is? Or what kind of issue do you have?
You need Piedmont Natural Gas to bring you a bigger line, all
What's
that
going
stuff.
on?
Right, yeah.
And a good question to ask is, what would make your business easier? Do you have any suppliers that if they located in our city, so they're only a few blocks away instead of in Richmond, for example, would you want me to work on that company? And you get the name of that company. So there's oftentimes you get leads from companies like that. So your local companies are leads. Real estate agents are phenomenal.
Right.
They don't always, not all of them.
Make
talk
sure
to
that's
us.
a clip. Right. Real estate agents, and then put John.
But
no.
But only if they let us know, because the real estate folks are dealing with clients looking at projects all the time.
Right.
Sometimes they bring in the economic developers. They should.
Right.
They don't always. So oftentimes we don't know of projects even considering the area because it's just being kept at the real estate level. They're not ready for us yet. But The earlier real estate folks can get us involved as economic developers, we're not trying to steal your thunder, take your business away. We'll honor
No, you're going to get
agreements.
more business
We're
most
going to
likely
show
from
that
it.
there's that something will come.
Yeah. What
So-
about private to public partnerships and stuff like that? I know that 74 came because some private money was put into that, and those type of things. Are those helpful?
Yes.
Okay.
There are all kinds of different things like that. Yes.
All right. And then
And some of our leads, going back to where the leads come from, the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina gets people call them and say, I want to be in North Carolina. I want to be in this part of North Carolina. I'm considering North Carolina and these states. Here's the area I want to be. So we get leads from the state as well. So we get leads from all kinds of different directions.
all right.
Bankers are also very good at letting them know who they're dealing with, who's coming in from out of town, might need some buildings and sites for a facility if they're looking around for loans and things.
I'm going to prove to one of my college professors that I paid attention in MBA school. Really, leads are kind of almost like a spoken wheel, aren't they? Because you've got that industry like I don't even know what they are now. I just know them as the people that make the seats and stuff. Is it Raycom now or something like that, or Raytheon? But they may, it used to be something that they're basically building a seat, and then they go in their own warehouse, and there's a chip person there, and they sign that chip out, and that's when they actually pay for it. So having all of those ancillary, if you're going to do airplanes, having the person that does this, having the person that does seats, and all that stuff all together, that's a really kind of the way you guys
Different
get leads.
yes.
Okay.
And different companies need different things. So you just got to keep your ears open. You've got to be creative as an economic developer. What does this client need to be successful? What do they need to make their good decision? And help them build bridges with different kinds of organizations in town. The public-private partnerships, the utilities, the community college, the workforce boards, all those kinds of things.
So now when you're doing your Lorens Goodwill Tour and speeches, et cetera, and things like that, it's amazing to me. We got to have the governor on board and the community college systems and the elected officials, and all those people have to be saying, hey, we want Forsyth Tech or we want Guilford Tech. We want them to be able to teach, welding, because we have a repair and maintenance at the airport. Yeah. And so those are the things that you guys, even at this point out here, are trying to get, with the John Deere plant going over in Kernersville. We're training people for those particular jobs in our...
Training is so important for the local companies here, but also as your recruiting companies. There's almost always an incentive package, community college training, what they'll do for the companies to help them succeed.
Now, I know that the community colleges are doing it. Are you guys doing it? Like, I know Goodwill does some different stuff. Do you guys work with all those entities?
Well, local economic developers, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I don't in the regional role now, but yes, a local economic developer should be dealing with all kinds of different groups that are doing workforce training of all kinds. Yes.
That's incredible.
But they work most closely with, in Guilford's case, the Guilford Workforce Board.
Right.
In Winston-Salem's case, the Piedmont Triad Workforce Council.
Okay.
So,
interesting, okay. All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to give you a little warm-up to this. It's going to be 5 reasons why. So we're in North Carolina. I love my state. This is one of the reasons why I do this show, is just because I want to highlight not only you as an individual, which now I know a new restaurant I'm going to, but also...
What was its name?
98 Degrees or something.
98 Asian Bistro.
Asian Bistro, okay. So I was going to ask you beforehand. But, so those type of things. But you got me psyched up about this thing. All right, so when people think North Carolina, they think the Triad, and they think the Triangle, and they think Charlotte.
Yes.
As a Winston-Salem person, we've lost some businesses recently, and they have gone to Charlotte. Now, it's NC, we're happy about that, but we don't like losing stuff. And so somebody came up with this great idea of there's this swath down the middle of the state that has more affordability and things like that we should be promoting. And is that correct? I mean, is that what the Carolina Core is? What is this?
The Carolina Core is a brand.
Okay.
So it's not an entity. It's not an organization. No one belongs to it. I don't get a paycheck from it. But the Piedmont Triad Partnership, the regional economic development group for this part of the central North Carolina, came up with a brand, Carolina Core, in 2018.
Okay.
And it was to look at things in a different way.
Right.
It goes beyond the traditional boundaries of the Piedmont Triad region because of all the assets that are in this central part of the state.
Right.
And it came up with a new name. Piedmont Triad doesn't mean much at all. Not everybody in North Carolina knows what it is. You go speak to a company head in California, they won't know what state you're talking about.
Right.
So the brand was, what can we do where the name will help identify where we are? Not only was Piedmont Triad problematic in knowing where it was, in some Asian cultures, Triad means organized crime.
Correct.
And so I've had clients make faces when you say you're with they see your card, the Piedmont Triad. It's like, who am I dealing with
Right.
here? So this was a notion of, what can we do?
Right.
And so core, you're going to assume, especially with NC added to it, NC Carolina Core is going to be the central part, the core of North Carolina.
Right.
So we're assuming people will immediately know what that name is. And the thought was, someone noticed on a map that US Highway 421 had 4 megasites generally along that swath of North Carolina.
Right.
A megasite being at least 1,000 acres, mostly flat, ready for development, utilities there, perhaps rail there, superhighway, freeway very close by, if not adjacent, and the most important, one of the most important parts, a workforce nearby.
Okay.
And so by saying this Carolina Core, it's a new brand, it's the central part of the state, it's got these 4 megasites, more than any other place in the country, a region that could brag about 4 megasites ready for projects. Come look at us and look at our assets. When you go even beyond the traditional Piedmont Triad's boundaries, look at this workforce, look at all these incredible colleges and universities, the training, the assets, the business parks, and we were able to market ourselves, draw attention to ourselves.
Okay.
You know, it's not just this one little spot, it's the swath of North Carolina. So that's where the concept came about.
So what are the 5 things, and you can do less or more, that make North Carolina so attractive? I would say right for business.
For business, domestic companies?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, you tell me. I mean, one I know has to be right to work state with little union.
Yes.
I think companies love that.
Many certainly
Right.
do.
What are some other things that make us so attractive, and why? And then we'll go back.
We're
to
lucky
the
we've got a good location
Okay.
on the East Coast.
Right.
We like to say, you know, we're halfway between Washington and Atlanta, halfway between New York and Miami. A great way to serve the majority of the U.S. population in a day and a half truck travel.
That's true.
If you have product, you can move it easily. So we're blessed here with our location.
All right.
We get to brag about our low cost of living.
We got a
in many
shipping
cases.
port less than 3 hours away here.
We've got more than one.
Right.
'Cause we get to take advantage, some companies of Virginia, some of Charleston, as well as North Carolina's own ports.
Right.
We've got a great traffic network, freeway system, especially here in the heart of the Triad.
Right.
Really good freeways that are relatively uncongested. And so we've got lots of things in our favor.
Okay. All right. So the core is our marketing brand. There's more in the core. I know that, right? And we start down near Fayetteville, right? And we go up through Wilkesboro.
Yes.
And then we pick up. I mean, we'll pick up occasionally. Like we tell Davey they can join us, right? And stuff like that.
Wait, it's not that way at all.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
who
just
wants to use our brand.
Right. Who wants you?
So here's the map.
Okay. Cool. Thanks.
And so that black dotted line is US Highway 421.
Okay.
And as you said, it's Wilkesboro there on the left-hand side of the screen, going down to the lower right, down towards Fayetteville, Dunn, that part of the world.
Right.
And so that's the swath. And those boxes, those colorful boxes with the white star in the middle of them, are the megasites that first got the attention, the blue, red, gray, and gold,
Right.
that got the attention of, look at that, look what we've got here along that corridor. And if we're lucky, those will get transformational projects. And of course, we didn't know that when the brand was announced, but since then, all 4 of those megasites have gotten transformational projects with more to come. And so a real boon.
So I get, and no pun intended on a real boom, right?
Boom. I said boon, not
yeah,
boom.
Okay. So I do want to set you up with a T-ball. when the Corps was originally announced, there was a jobs goal set up. Stay, will you see the smile from ear to ear on this?
Well,
jobs?
That's not my next slide.
Okay, so we'll hold off on that then. All right, what's your next slide?
Well, my next slide is just to show.
Go back one. Go back one. So what is this? Is this?
That's Innovation Quarter in Winston-Salem, which is its own. It's not a mega site, but it's an important.
Correct. All right. All right, there it is. Innovation Quarter.
It's an important asset, certainly for Winston-Salem, for our region.
And I was lucky enough to go with you and tour the. Holy cow! Is that site amazing? Mm-hmm. And then to think about, Kevin is telling us about the bridges. And so this one bridge is going to be all these millions of dollars.
Yes.
And someone goes, well, why would you do that? Why don't you just do 4 bridges side by side and it's like a third of the price? And so
yes, exactly.
And then here's Toyota. Now there it is right here. This is our battery manufacturer?
Well, Toyota is the battery manufacturer.
Okay, all right. And then what is this?
VinFast is both an automobile manufacturer, will be,
right,
and batteries, both.
And we will be making VinFast cars?
That's
okay,
yes.
Right. And then Wolfspeed is?
They make parts for semiconductors, silicon parts for semiconductors.
All right, cool. This is neat. And now,
and then Boom Supersonic at the Greensboro Triad
we can take
Airport.
in because you've been talking a lot in Fayetteville, so we might as well put Fayetteville in here. Just
they're here.
All right. And then has Asheboro jumped on board?
We have 19 counties.
Okay, good.
Let's show you.
See, look, I'm asking the good questions here. Right?
Those are the largest cities.
Right.
Just to show you quickly, Greensboro down. I picked the 13 largest for my speeches because I want Pinehurst on there.
Right.
How about that?
Yeah.
So, as you see, Forsyth County's got some options there with Kernersville and Winston-Salem and so forth, Clemens.
Yeah.
So those are the largest cities.
Okay.
And this is how the brand is different from other groups. The Piedmont Triad Partnership traditionally has 12 counties.
Okay.
That's what we know when you say Piedmont Triad, it means those 12 counties.
Okay.
But we have counties that are using the Carolina Core brand that are in other partnerships. So the Research Triangle Partnership has 4 counties, North Carolina's Southeast region, and Wilkes County is not even in a regional partnership.
But they got a great ED. He's awesome.
Leanne next, and she's great.
She is, right. Wilkes County, then Wilkesboro has a great one then.
I don't know who Wilkesboro is.
I'm thinking it is. All right.
Leanne is great.
Leanne is great. I've met her, but then there's a guy that does it too up there. I don't remember what his name was.
Those are the 19 counties. We have chunks of other counties.
Right.
But we're not in conflict with these other regional partnerships. But every time I go into one of these counties to make a speech, to meet with somebody, I let the Research Triangle Partnership know I'm going to be there.
Right.
And these folks don't have to pay any money for it to us. Mm-hmm. They get extra marketing. So they take advantage of being a part of the Research Triangle and North Carolina's Southeast region, but we get to promote them, give them extra oomph, and so they join us.
Before we go to break, it's amazing to me, you were talking about Leanne at Wilkes. I met her, I think, right when she came on the job, and like I said, I think there was maybe a North Wilkesboro economic development person. And of course, now they're working through having NASCAR come back up there. And I mean, it's so cool to see these wins.
Yes.
So I want to talk about some of those wins. Is the job slide coming up?
It's next.
All right, so we're going to hold that. We'll be right back with more Camel City Chat. Welcome back to Camel City Chat. I'm John McPherson. I'm here with Loren Hill, and we've been talking about the NC Carolina Core. There's more in the Core. And I asked earlier, and he wouldn't tell me, and now he's got it. This is one of the coolest slides that I'm ready for it. So that's wrong, though, because something changed, didn't it?
Well, that's not what it is today. That was the goal.
Right.
Ambitious goal. I thought it was an audacious goal when I sat in the room in 2018 at the Grandover Resort in Greensboro, and Stan Kelly of Winston-Salem, who was then the president and CEO of the Piedmont Triad Partnership, announced, here's the Carolina Core. This is the concept.
20 years.
This is the brand. This is the name.
Right.
And we're going to make a difference with these mega sites and with everything else and all our assets and working together. And we say in 20 years' time, we're going to create 50,000 office and industrial jobs.
There's no way you're going to do that in 20 years.
That's what I thought sitting in the back of the room. And I thought, thank goodness I'll be
Can't
long
be done.
retired.
Yeah, can't
no
be
one's
done.
going to blame me when we don't do it. Because our record to that point had been uneven. We'd had some wins and some growth,
You got
but not much. Not
three
as much as we
major
should have.
cities together that often fight and stuff like that. There's no way. What's this say? How's it going?
So 6 years have gone by,
Yeah.
and as of this month, we passed it.
Isn't that freaking
Instead of
amazing?
20 years,
Yeah.
we've done it in 6 years. And it's 52,760 office and industrial jobs. Office and industrial.
Right.
We don't track retail, most medical jobs,
Right.
government jobs. That's not part of what we are looking, office and industrial jobs. So to have that number is impressive. And so
You celebrated it by
we had a meeting and cheered.
right, and then now what's the goal?
Well, we doubled the goal.
Right.
So we kept the same time frame of 20 years, so
Right.
2038, but now we say we're going to get 100,000 jobs. And we fully believe, even without additional huge mega-site kinds of projects, we're going to get to that point.
Well, I mean, as it stands right now, if you did the same thing in 6 years, you'd be 12 years in. You'd still have 8 years.
Well, we've got to be careful we don't think of that, because mega-sites, you're not going to always have 7,500 jobs from VinFast announced. That's
True.
unbelievably huge and different. So,
How much of a risk is it for the developer out in Davie just to build a site with no tenant? I mean, that's
well, Davie's a master. Do you know that?
what?
Do you know that Davie County is the master on that?
No.
Building spec buildings.
Okay. No, I
Oh
didn't.
my goodness. Terry you need to interview Terry Brawley.
will.
He has been phenomenal at working with his local developers to build spec buildings, and then he
Thing's
finds
huge.
clients for them.
Everyone said, "Oh, that's Amazon. That's
He's
Amazon.
been
That's Amazon."
doing it
Right.
over and over and over and over. He has a spec building program. He's a model of bringing folks his way. So lots of the things have
I'll
happened
call
because
Terry
of that
tomorrow.
work.
Yep.
So it's big stuff.
Okay, because it's amazing. That's a huge building out there.
Well, and clients are always in a hurry.
Right.
Or at least they say they are in a hurry. And they'll come to you and say, we need to be operational in 6 months, and we need to do X, Y, and
We've
Z.
already got
and
the
we
building here.
Yeah, I mean, so you've got to have things ready. You can't just say, oh, look at this nice wooded field.
Right.
We can have that cleared and something built and something. No, you better have it at least cleared and ready,
And maybe even a pad down.
maybe even a pad down.
Okay.
If you don't have a spec building, but because folks are in a fast time frame. They don't always react that fast. but
Right.
They tell you they need that kind of time frame.
Correct. Right.
as they're
Okay.
looking around.
So congratulations. That's awesome. But you and I are
So,
right.
so you want to see how we got to that 52,760?
Absolutely. Of course you're going to show me that. Is it showing up on there? Pretty good? Cool.
So these are the mega site announcements. So the Greensboro Randolph mega site, Toyota, well, we're not supposed to move yet. Somebody
Okay.
didn't set,
That's
didn't
don't
take
worry.
the transmission off. Hold on.
All right. It's showing it there.
Yep.
That's fine.
So 5,100 jobs, almost $14 billion.
Couldn't get it to 14, huh?
13, we'll take 13.9
All right, cool.
billion.
All right.
So they've announced, in 2001, but they've already had 3 expansions announced.
Right. Okay.
And so they are well on their way. It's huge. That's the largest investment in the state of North Carolina in our state's history,
Right.
by far. The next largest is this $5 billion for the next project. So 14 is incredible.
Right.
And they're well on their way. So, sorry, I obviously
okay.
didn't hit the transition button off.
No.
Didn't turn it off here. The Chatham-Siler City, 1,800 jobs, $5 billion in capital investment.
Right.
VinFast, 7,500 jobs, $4 billion. And then our own airport there
Right. With Boom.
with Boom
And
coming
then what was the
and
one
Marshall
that we
Aerospace.
went to? So you already have
The-
Honda Jet there.
Yes.
But then what's the place that we went to with the
did we go to
EDP and
the
C? No, we
Marshall?
went to the one that starts with an H. That's the repair and maintenance place.
HACO.
Golly, that was so awesome.
Yeah.
And their general manager was so kind to us.
Yeah. So those are 4 big mega site announcements, or all 4 mega sites having announcements, some having more than one project. But we're not done yet. As you can see, the Chatham-Siler City has a whole mega site there, still ready for projects. They still have 1,400 acres at the Chatham-Siler City. Since we started using the brand, a 5th mega site is now using the Carolina Core brand in Roxboro, Person County. They're now one of our brand users. They have a mega park there already, 1,350 acres. And Piedmont Triad International Airport still has 900 acres available. They're different from the other mega sites. You have to need runway access to be there.
And
But they have lots of clients, lots of prospects looking at them that want to be there. So I suspect we'll be getting more and more announcements from the airport.
Right, and there's more. There's a possibility of even more land.
Even
there, right?
more, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Because that was one of the questions. Well, what happens when you run out? I think we got some more land somewhere. they don't always tell you how much, but that's amazing. All right.
So mega sites get the attention.
All right.
That's the headlines. That was what Carolina Core was really all about initially, but we've
Right.
gone so much beyond that. Of the 52,000 jobs announced, 35,000 of them have come from other places, not the mega sites.
So what would be an example of that? I graduate from law school at Carolina, open up my own law firm or something in Roxboro?
No, that's not
Okay.
going to, that's going to, well, maybe.
Okay.
But we've got all kinds of projects.
Okay.
Of all, we'll see some in just a moment.
Okay,
here, in
cool.
fact.
I'm getting ahead of you again.
Well,
Man, I am Mr. Transition
you're
to your
good.
slides.
You're just
Yeah.
perfect at that. So
There we go.
these are some of the largest projects in the Carolina Core. At least $100 million in capital investment. That makes it a big project.
Okay.
That's not at the Carolina megasite, Carolina Core megasite. So you can see several from Forsyth there, several from Guilford,
I
several
drove
from
by
Davidson.
this one, right? And I was pleased to see that they were using John Deere equipment to build the John Deere site. I almost took a picture of it, but I was like, no. All right, so that's cool.
So that just shows you a wide range of counties involved with these big projects. And all throughout, from Randolph to Davidson to Guilford, Forsyth, Lee, which is Sanford, Cumberland. That was just announced last week. That
Okay.
Fayetteville project, the largest that's not in the mega site,
Right.
just announced last week. So
And Honda just keeps on investing more, don't they? It's amazing.
several of them do.
Yeah.
They found the right spot.
Yeah.
They keep on coming. So these are just since the Carolina Core brand was announced,
And when was that official date?
2018.
Okay, all right, perfect.
So.
And is this what I think this is? This is some sort of a recreational park?
Have you not heard about Uwharrie Motorsports? It's in Moore County,
Okay.
or right there outside of Pinehurst, or
Okay.
actually northern, closer to the northwest corner of Moore County.
Right.
And it's going to be a place to live and use your sports car and drive and all kinds of different things. So they've been touting that as a big deal. For
I do
Moore
know
County.
that down near Lexington they have that water skiing place. It's you can hook in, and I know some friends that have did different events there, but it'll pull you around, and I think there's a couple of those.
I don't even know
But
about
no,
this.
it's I mean that's the way things are going. People not only want the, look how big the training facility has gone for Charlotte with the water sports and stuff. So that's
Yeah,
neat.
yeah.
I'll have to check that one out.
So all these announcements, all these mega site announcements,
Mm-hmm.
and you were talking about us being, here we go, we're getting attention here in the Carolina Core. The last 2 years, the largest project for jobs in the state of North Carolina, 2 years in a row, was in the Carolina Core.
Okay.
Toyota, just one of their announcements, 3,000 jobs announced in 23, but they'd already announced 2,100 before that
Right.
for the same project. Siemens in Davidson County, Dynapon in Davidson County, and the year before that, so we were also number one with VinFast. So two years in a row, the Carolina Core has had the number one largest job announcement and 3 of the top 5 in the state. It's pretty darn impressive by anybody's standards.
So this is when the top 5 does count.
That's right.
Very good. But now, there have been some cool places that have said that they're coming to North Carolina in the Triangle. But now I'm understanding that some of that stuff's on pause. So these things are still moving forward, where some of the ones that we've gotten hyped for in 2018, 2019, et cetera, like an Apple, like Apple's on pause right now, correct?
I believe that's right.
Yeah, and so...
Or they've done some hiring,
Yeah, right.
but not to the
But not to
extent
the
that they said
extent
they
yet
might.
because of the way, the world is.
Yeah.
So to see some of these things come in like this and have them move forward, I saw the Boom Supersonic, their actual building is built to roll the freaking plane through it from one
Yeah.
end to the other.
Now they'll
And
be
it's
equipping it as they still design their plane.
just wide enough for those wings to go in there
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. And then, it's going to be quite interesting as they start to move forward with that idea. So, wow, this is very interesting stuff. All right, what else you got?
What makes you think I have another slide?
There's
Because
more.
I'm the brand ambassador.
Because you're just like, what's his name? But wait, there's more.
So, US 421 is sort of the spine
All right.
of the Carolina Core. So one of our signature efforts early on was to have it designated as a future interstate highway.
Okay.
And so we've been successful. As of May the 20th of this year,
Right.
we unveiled those signs. That's me with Mike Fox, who's my boss, the president of the Piedmont Triad Partnership.
Okay.
And they're at the bridge adjacent to the Toyota battery plant.
Okay.
We unveiled 685. So we worked with first the counties involved up and down that corridor. Do you want to have the future interstate, the road designated as that? Then with North Carolina's congressional delegation, it was entered into law. Congress passed it in the infrastructure bill. The president signed it. Regulatory agencies signed off, and that means the signs are up now, and that it's already a freeway from Greensboro to Sanford.
Right.
And so over time, as projects occur, shoulders will be widened, bridges may be improved.
TIP.
There's a stoplight
Right.
that will be removed in Chatham County. That will be a freeway. Now, the road will be from Interstate 85 to Interstate 95,
Right.
421. But
Wait.
it's only a freeway
Yep.
from Greensboro to Sanford.
Wait, there's more.
There's more.
We're going to be right back with more Camel City Chat because I see another number down there too. Welcome back to Camel City Chat. He's taking a break. I've got him talking so much. Loren Hill is our guest. He is the brand ambassador. And there's probably some real title out there that you can tell me. But, I mean, he is the mascot, the guy that tells everybody, go, 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 Carolina Core. We've been talking about 685, which is going to be a future interstate from down near Sanford up to Greensboro, basically 95 to 85, correct?
There's a part missing on this map.
Right.
And that's from Sanford down to Interstate 95.
Okay.
So unlike this segment, where it's already a 4-lane divided highway,
Right.
from Sanford to Interstate 95, much of the way it's a 2-lane country road, or it's the downtown streets of Lillington and Irwin. So new construction is going to have to occur. So the state is studying 3 options. One more or less follows US 421 to Dunn.
Okay.
The other 2 go straight from Sanford southbound to Fayetteville.
Okay.
So the state hasn't decided which version to put on the map for future funding.
Okay.
But
Is
eventually,
this where we pull the roulette wheel?
well,
What's the name of this one?
well, this is no, it's
It'll be 685. So the roulette wheel's the other way.
85 to 95.
Okay.
So the roulette wheel's the other
All
way.
right. So this is what we want.
So this has been achieved.
Okay.
Congress has passed it. The signs are up.
President
it's on the
signed
books.
it. It's good to go.
So
There it is.
that's only part of US 421. The part from Winston-Salem to Wilkesboro is a freeway.
Right.
A 4-lane divided road, high-speed freeway without stoplights, but it still needs to be upgraded.
It didn't used
which
to be.
means safety.
Yep,
Yes,
it didn't used to be.
I remember going to Boone
Me too.
on small little 2-lane
Yeah,
roads
yeah.
all the way. But we've been working first with the 3 counties involved, Wilkes, Yadkin, and Forsyth, get the county commissioners to support it.
Right.
Earlier this spring, folks met with the North Carolina's 15 members of Congress, 2 U.S. senators and
Right.
House representatives. They're supportive of it to make this a future interstate. So the North Carolina Department of Transportation has given it the name, if we're successful, 777.
Right.
And I've told the officials in Wilkes County, as a joke, but with meaning it a little bit, that if you want to have a real successful use of what's an empty mall at right here,
Right,
where the
yeah.
road ends, is a former mall that was then
Lowe's
headquarters.
Right, yeah.
It's a phenomenal facility.
They need to go
I
for,
turned it a year ago. It needs to be Casino 777.
Yep.
On Interstate 777.
Yep.
Anybody who wants to gamble would like to be at Casino 777.
I'm not a gambler. I finally did play some roulette when I was in Vegas for my niece's graduation, and I won money. I've never won money. And
You didn't say how much money, so we're going to let that slide, right?
It wasn't that much. I bet 100 and I doubled it. So, but no. So this is great. So 421 will disappear eventually. And
No,
it'll
that name number will still be there.
Okay.
It'll just be added on, but you'll know it's an interstate highway, interstate quality, a safer road, perhaps a faster road, that to be determined.
I don't want to talk about driving
But
421. So.
But from real estate, from economic developers' perspective, having these future interstates means something.
Yeah.
Because clients all the time ask us, submit your buildings and sites that are within X numbers of miles of an interstate highway. If you're in Sanford today, the other road, there's no interstate there. They couldn't submit sites. Doesn't matter there's a 4-lane divided road, but now they can submit those sites because a future interstate leads to a full-fledged interstate, and so that's helpful from economic development. More sites can be considered.
So this is about, well, so this is where I was town council, but this is about where I live now. And literally, if I put it in, I am within 30 minutes of 77, 40, and 85.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
And
amazing.
you'll soon be on,
Yeah,
hopefully,
777. And
So
yeah.
our congressional delegation has told us they have to find the right legislation to add this provision to.
Right.
It probably won't be a standalone bill. That
Right.
doesn't happen. And so it may not be till next year
Right.
that the right legislation is found and it gets passed, but we are very
Usually
hopeful.
the budget.
It could be an infrastructure bill, it could
Yep.
be who knows where, but
All right, that's great. Yeah. All right, you got more?
just a couple
And by the
more.
way, who's this right here?
That's Leanne Nixon from Wilkes County.
Wilkes County, right. Yep,
And
there you go.
in the-
I knew that's who it was.
In the
That's why I-
teal shirt, jacket to our right
Yep.
is Bobby Todd, the Yadkin County Chamber President and the
Right.
economic developer. And the gentleman on the far right is Blake Moyer, who is Surrey County's economic developer. So
Okay.
Surrey County, this road doesn't go through there.
But they're
his
supporting it.
county commissioners passed a resolution of support because it means a lot. He's close by. It will, parts of his county will use this road a lot if it were lucky. So he is
And
very
you did say where
enthusiastic.
you were, but you didn't. I don't know if you said where you were, but I got to guess where you are right now.
Right, and that picture is taken at the
At the
North
Wilkes
Wilkesboro
Speedway.
Speedway.
Yep. By the way, no parking towaway zone. There's like 100 signs on each side of the
Yes.
road. It's so funny. All right, so you got another one?
No more roads,
Okay.
but we got to do things besides roads to get ready. We've got several things going on, but I thought I'd just highlight this one.
Right.
You talked about more in the core. That is our joke. Charlotte likes to say it's got a lot in their ads. Well,
Right.
maybe so, but there's more in the core.
Right.
And so more in the core is the name of our campaign to bring talent, more workers
Right.
to the region. And so you won't know about it because you're already here. You're not our target.
Right.
Since last September of 2023, we have been doing digital and other kinds of things in other parts of the country to say, look at these assets. What a great place to live. Natural assets, low cost of living in this part of the world, all these different things. And we can add now, for the first time, and look at these job opportunities.
Okay.
Look at all these announcements. Look at these well-paying jobs coming our way. So you can not only enjoy the cost of living and the quality of life, you can have the kind of job you want.
And
so that's the More in the Core campaign.
So I did a lot of relocation with the glass company, Owens, Illinois, down, and I've done some other relocation, which is, it's a lot of people don't know much about it when they come here. It's, oh yeah, I got shipped down there, whatever. I think with what you're doing now, people are learning not only, hey, wait, I mean, my cousin called me. She's up in the DMV area, and she's like, yeah, I want a lake. I want it 30 minutes away from an airport. She goes, John, I already got a place at Smith Mountain Lake. I want, who do I talk to? And so, she wants to live in Charlotte on the lake. And so we've got all these different things. We've got these companies moving in, moving out. But, what an integral step that I don't think a lot of people always know, and that is marketing to the individual and why they should come here. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we got like 3 or 4 minutes. Anything you want to touch on?
This right here.
Okay.
When I first started in economic development in the central part of the state 26 years ago, we might have said a win for one is a win for all, but that might have been lip service.
Okay.
Working together, doing things differently. But we really I've never seen us working together. Those are the economic development logos of in our 19 counties. Working
What
together,
on there-
promoting each other incredibly well.
What on there is different? Should it be in like a different color, like the Winston-Salem one? Weren't they just awarded like the #1 Chamber of Commerce?
They
in the
were
United States
indeed.
of
Even though
America?
Chamber of Commerce is not in their name, they are the Chamber of Commerce.
I just want to make sure that was
Well,
cleaned
I've
up.
thought all along, why do they have a black and white logo when nobody else does?
Yeah.
So let's talk to
No, but
somebody
let's-
about that.
But I mean, look at this. I mean, this is important because growing up, I've been here since '77. Growing up, the 3 of them don't get along. On the way here, I got off the phone with the president of one of those realtor associations, and she said, "You know what my goal is?" And I can say she because all 3 of these ladies. She goes, "My goal is we got to work together and get along." And that's
And your economic developers have done that.
Yeah.
Not always, but we have these last few years.
we should be on the front row cheering if Guilford County gets something.
Yes.
And that's the way it is,
we're-
because they'll
we're
choose us
beginning to
eventually.
see that.
Yes. Yeah.
And you'll get spillover from it, and you get the reputation from it.
Yep. Man, I can't thank you enough for doing this with me. This is so nice. We're going to do some little shorts on it and stuff like that. We'll share some information out. We'd love for you guys to share it. We'll make it available to you. It will go live this week, actually. We're going to go live Wednesday. Yeah, so in 2 days, Stabler's going to work on that.
Great.
But you are what's making this awesome. The way that you go out there. And I know you got a great team, so tell us about some of them,
You've got to
too.
talk about everybody. I'm
Right.
just the cheerleader.
Right.
They're doing the work these days. I'm in my retirement job now.
Okay.
So I get to sit back, promote, jump up and down, make speeches, cheer them on, help them when they need help, those local economic developers. But they're doing the work. They and our lots of allies, the Piedmont Triad partnerships, investors, all working together.
Well, if you want to find out about more in the Corps, go to nccarolinacorps.com. That's your first stop. If you want Loren to come speak, we'll put his email on there. Is that okay?
You can find my email address on that website.
Okay, on that website. Go to that website, Loren, Loren. And another thing, call your own local economic development group or your chamber and get involved, because all of this stuff helps keep our taxes low, gives us more things to do. Oh, there's nothing to do. Well, there would be if there were more people here and more jobs. And so support the Carolina Corps. And I'm just so happy to have had you as a guest. You're awesome, Loren. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate you. We'll be back with more Camel City Chat in a couple weeks.